Welcome back, guys. So it's 2026 and the PS5 Slim is one of the best consoles currently available. Let me ask you something and let me hear your honest thoughts on it. The last time a gaming console really blew your mind, not the titles but the hardware itself, its design, its feel, its placement within your surroundings. Because let me be straight with you, when Sony announced the PS5 Slim, I was not impressed. Smaller box, same console, let it go. Except I actually tried the console, placed it in my desk, turned it on, and everything changed. Let's test the performance of the PS5 in 2026 with tons of games already on the market. Starting off with the PS5 Slim itself. This is our main piece. Sony shrank it down, made it a little more powerful, and gave you an affordable price point. But just because it's small doesn't mean it's good. We're gonna put that to the test. So for our setup, we have the 32-inch 2K gaming AOC monitor and Black Widow Chroma Razer gaming keyboard with our 2-tube RGB light. And now, moving on to the older wired gaming mouse. Look, this is not something we had planned. This was a necessity. But I want to be transparent with you guys about the whole setup because that's what this channel is about. No pretending, no fake perfection. So we gaming on this AOC monitor. Alright, so here she is. First thing you notice, this box is large. Like I knew it was a 32-inch monitor, but holding this box in person, it just hits different. And look at what AOC put right on the front of the box. No hiding the specs here. You've got 165 Hz right there in big bold letters, QHD resolution, AMD FreeSync Premium, HDR, and a 1 millisecond response time. They're not shy about what this thing can do. The model number is the CQ32G3SE. The C means curved, and the curve on this is a 1000R. That means it's a pretty aggressive curve, designed to actually wrap around your field of vision when you're sitting close to it. I'll be honest, standing in the store holding this box, I had a moment of, okay, did I spend too much on this? But let's open it up and find out if it was worth every penny. Okay, so opening this up, and right away, you can see AOC pack this thing really well. Thick foam on both sides, the monitor is wrapped in plastic and sitting snug in the middle. There's zero chance this thing is getting damaged in shipping. Let's go through what comes in the box because I always think this matters. You want to know what you're actually getting. First, the stand base and neck. It's metal, feels solid and sturdy right away. Not that cheap plastic stuff you sometimes get with budget monitors. This has some weight to it, which is always a good sign. Then we've got the HDMI cable, which is great because some manufacturers still don't include one, and that drives me crazy. You're spending money on a monitor. The least they can do is throw in the cable. We also have the power adapter. It's an external brick style, not built in. Some people don't like that, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. And then the manual and documentation, which I'm gonna be real with you, I didn't read. I never read the manual. Does anyone actually read the manual? And then the star of the show, the monitor itself, still wrapped in plastic. And even before I take the wrap off, you can already see the build quality. The bezel on this thing is thin, the back has a nice design to it. Let me get this plastic off and actually show you what we're working with. Okay, so with the plastic off, this thing looks clean, like genuinely clean. The front is basically all screen. The bezels on the top and sides are super slim. We're talking almost borderless. The bottom bezel has the AOC logo centered, and that's it. No clutter, no unnecessary branding screaming at you. Flip it around and the back is where it gets interesting. There's a nice geometric pattern on the back panel. It's not just a flat, boring plastic back. It's got this angular design that actually looks good if you're running an open setup. The stand, let me show you this. It's a Y-shaped base, which I actually really like because it gives you a wider footprint and feels really stable on the desk. It's not going anywhere. And assembly is dead simple. The neck just clicks onto the base and then the monitor attaches to the neck. No tools needed, no screws, nothing complicated. Took me maybe 3 minutes to put together. One thing I do want to point out, the height adjustment on this stand is limited. You can tilt it forward and back, but you can't raise or lower the height. For most people sitting at a desk, it's going to be at a good height. But if you're particular about exact monitor positioning, you'd want a VESA mount instead. The monitor does support 100 by 100 VESA, so that's an easy swap if you need it. But honestly, for a monitor at this price point, the build quality is better than I expected. This doesn't feel cheap at all. Okay, let me break down what you're actually getting with this monitor because the specs on paper sound great, but I want to explain what they actually mean for your gaming experience. 32 inches. This is the sweet spot for a gaming monitor in my opinion, especially for console. It's big enough that it feels immersive, but not so big that you're turning your head to see the edges. On a desk, it fills your vision perfectly. QHD, 2560 by 1440 resolution. This is 2K. That's a significant step up from 1080p. Everything is sharper, textures have more detail, the image just pops more. You see the difference immediately. 165Hz refresh rate. Now this is where it gets interesting, especially for PS5 users, and I'll get into this more during the gameplay test. The PS5 can push up to 120 frames per second on supported games. So while you won't hit 165 frames per second on console, you're still getting a much smoother experience than a standard 60Hz display. Now let's talk about the PS5 Slim. Now look, if you're a hardcore competitive player and you need the absolute maximum frame rates for something like Call of Duty or Warzone, you might be having that PC versus console debate in your head, and that's fair. But if you're someone who games to enjoy the experience, the story, the world, the fun, the PS5 Slim delivers on that completely. So the big question, the reason we're all here, is the PS5 Slim worth it in 2026? Let me be real with you, because that's what this channel is about. If you do not have a PS5 at all, whether you've been on PS4 or you've just never jumped into this generation, yes, the PS5 Slim is absolutely worth picking up right now. The game library has matured. There is genuinely a catalog of incredible titles to play. Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Demon's Souls, Final Fantasy 16, Gran Turismo 7, Baldur's Gate 3. This console has games. The slim form factor makes it even easier to justify placing it in your living room or your setup. If you're on the original PS5 and it's working fine, honestly, unless you're desperate for the smaller form factor or you just want the newer model, you probably don't need to upgrade. The internals are largely the same. You're not gaining a significant performance leap. The upgrade is more about form and convenience than raw power. But here's the thing, even if you are on the original PS5, if your console ever needs replacing, you'd be getting the Slim and you'd be. The SSD storage situation though, that's still something worth talking about. You get 1 terabyte on the Slim, which sounds decent, but modern games, they eat storage for breakfast. God of War, Spider-Man, Call of Duty, these titles are massive. You're going to want to think about expanding storage eventually. The good news is the M.2 expansion slot is still there and it's easy to use. Alright, now this is the part you've been waiting for. How does this thing actually perform? And to test it, I've been running it through something I play pretty much every day, Fortnite. Now, before anyone comes for me in the comments, Fortnite is actually one of the best benchmarks for a console like this because of how demanding it can get during intense moments, large lobbies, explosions everywhere, building chaos. If a console can handle Fortnite at a high level, it can handle almost anything. And on performance mode, this thing is smooth, like genuinely smooth. The frame delivery is consistent, the visuals hold up beautifully on this 32-inch QHD display, the colors are popping, the clarity is sharp, and you're getting that fluid, responsive gameplay that makes such a difference in a competitive game. The loading times on this console are still something I genuinely appreciate. You jump into a game and you're in it. There's no sitting there watching a loading bar for 30 seconds. The SSD in this machine is fast, and it shows every single time. What I also really love is the DualSense experience when you're actually in the game. The haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, Sony really wasn't playing around with those. In a game like Fortnite, pulling back the trigger on a sniper or the resistance when you're building, it adds this layer of physicality that you don't get anywhere else. It sounds like a gimmick when you read about it, but when you feel it, it genuinely enhances the experience. And even after extended gaming sessions, we're talking a couple hours of Fortnite, the console stays relatively cool and quiet. The fan does its job without sounding like a jet preparing for takeoff, which was a complaint some people had with the launch PS5. Visually, and again, some of this is the monitor doing a lot of work here too, the image quality coming out of this console is genuinely impressive. The colors in Fortnite are vibrant, the environment detail holds up, and the overall experience just feels premium. And it's not just the standard Battle Royale mode where this console shines. I jumped into some of the other Fortnite modes, the driving sections, the open world exploration, and the performance stays consistent. You're watching me in this vehicle here, tearing through terrain, crashing through trees, and the frame delivery doesn't fall apart. That consistency is what matters in day-to-day gaming. It's not just about the peak moments, it's about what happens when things get hectic, when there are explosions and particle effects and multiple players on screen all at once. And the PS5 Slim handles it, every time. This is honestly where I think the PS5 Slim earns its reputation, because it's not like the Slim cut corners on the internals to make the form factor smaller. You still have that same custom AMD GPU, the same Tempest 3D audio engine, the same high-speed SSD architecture. What I will say is this: the value proposition of the PS5 Slim in 2026 is actually really solid when you factor in everything. The console price is settled, the game library is deep, and the ecosystem, PlayStation Plus, PS Stars, the media features, it's all fleshed out at this point. You're not buying into something that's still figuring itself out. You're buying into a mature, polished platform. Alright, so to wrap it all up, here's where I land on the PS5 Slim in 2026. The design is cleaner and more setup friendly than the original. The performance is still top tier for console gaming. The DualSense remains one of the best controllers ever made, full stop. The game library is genuinely one of the best it's ever been, and the overall package, from the UI to the load times to the day-to-day experience, is polished in a way that just makes gaming feel effortless. Is it perfect? Nothing is. The storage fills up faster than you'd like, and if you're a PC gamer already running high-end hardware, the raw numbers aren't going to blow your mind. But as a console, as an all-in-one gaming machine that you pick up, plug in, and just play, it's excellent. My verdict: if you need a PS5, buy the Slim. You won't regret it. That's it for today's video, guys. If you found this helpful, drop a like. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. And if you're new here, welcome to Oftech. We talk tech and gaming in a way that's for everybody, not just the nerds. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.